All right. Our theme today is journey. This was chosen by Creative Mornings chapter in Oman. The word journey, for me, evokes adventure and discovery. It's not just about the destination. It's about the discovery and the changes that come along the way. Every idea, every project, every risk that we take has its own path. And that path is shaped by both joy and challenges. Because there are twists and turns, very unexpectedly sometimes detours happen, and that can be very frustrating. But we waste our energy when we resist those unwanted detours and change. Because once we accept the reality of what is, and we stop fighting these unexpected detours, and maybe even embrace the change, we can actually reclaim the journey for ourselves, and that's where real transformation lives. So when we stay curious and open, we will discover something new. We can discover a new path to take us forward. And while this may be very challenging, we do not have to travel alone. We can support each other, and then each of our journeys becomes lighter and hopefully more fun as well. I think that this presentation we're going to hear today is at the heart of it, about unexpected detours and how a community can come together to create a new path forward. So I'm very excited to introduce Amy Redmond today. Amy is a co-founder of Partners in Print. We hosted Amy's co-founder, Jenny Wilkson, back in 2017. She was a speaker. And that was back in 2017 when the world looked a lot different, actually, in many ways. And Partners in Print did not yet exist. So I'm very excited to hear from Amy how this journey has unfolded and how this community of people have made that possible. Amy is an art director, a design educator, and visual artist whose work is connected by a passion for letter forms. As a printmaker, she works with wood and metal type in her private letterpress studio, Amada Press, as well as being a founding member of Partners in Print. So please help me welcome Amy Redmond.
Hello. It's nice to see you all here this morning. Thank you for making the time to show up to hear the Partners in Print story. We have made our journey hinged on the adage, festina lente, which is Latin for make haste slowly. You can see from our logo that we're reminded to slow down by the subtle shape of the anchor that also doubles as a smile, welcoming people into our community. Our mission is to bring people together by using old presses to amplify new voices, share knowledge, and spark creativity. And we do this through letterpress printing. We believe it has been and continues to be a powerful way to share stories and open minds. And why letterpress printing? Because its process requires intent and focus. You have to slow down to craft your message. You have to do it with care. From there, you add ink, combine it with paper and impression, and you have your beautiful, tangible print. And as you may guess from seeing a picture of this press, this activity requires quite a bit of space, which when we started our programming back in 2001 at the School of Visual Concepts, we were the heart of the school in this building space, right in downtown Seattle and South Lake Union, with neighbors like Google and Meta just around the corner. And we loved it that way, being that lo-fi analog presence in a very high-tech neighborhood. We learned during our time at SVC, which has been around since 1971 and continues to this day, the waypoints of our roadmap, which we shared with everyone that we came in touch with while we were there. And that is coming together as using our craft and sharing our skills to be collaborative and be in community with one another, creating meaningful projects. We did that through in-person, long-form letterpress classes. We invited artists into our space to teach workshops. We also welcomed the public in for civic engagement events, as well as holding team-building workshops for our neighbors around South Lake Union and beyond. We also welcomed in designers in residence and helped make their own creative visions come to life through letterpress printing. We also had a very wonderful, meaningful collaboration, which continues to this day. We'll be celebrating its 15th year in 2025 with Seattle Children's Hospital and Seattle Arts and Lectures Writers in the Schools program, where poets Ann Taplick and Sierra Nelson connected with the pediatric patients to help bring their stories to life through poetry. We then provided many volunteer artists that turned these poems into letterpress prints, and we would come together to put them together into handmade portfolios that we could give to the poets and their families. This legacy building project allows the pediatric patients an opportunity to be published authors, getting their voices out beyond the hospital walls and into the community. We also engaged with the public through an event called the Steamroller Smackdown, which many of you might recall. I see a lot of head nods, where we invited design teams to create giant 3x4-foot linoleum block prints centered around a common theme that we then auctioned off and used as fundraisers for organizations. For those of you that have been in Seattle for quite a long time, you might recall that we held this at our old SVC space off of Aurora Avenue. And as you can see, it was a lively event. But when the pandemic hit in March of 2020, it hit hard. And it prevented our community from engaging with us in our space. And in that moment, it was really hard to see how we were going to move forward. It seemed impossible. But we remembered that a building is not a community. People are. And so if people couldn't come to us, we were going to go to where their presses were. And with that, we bid farewell to our in-person programming. And we traded our steamroller in for a spaceship. And we took letterpress into outer space, beaming our letterpress programs into the homes of many people around the country and the world through long-distance letterpress and the help of SVC. We chose topics that could be discussed, shared within just a few hours, inviting participants to come into the spaces of many different printers who welcomed us into their amazing studios, shared their secrets and their tips using their very own tools. Now, these aren't just YouTube videos that you can watch and it's just one level of engagement. These are interactive activities that allow participants to inform the flow of the class. And with this, we reconnected our community, but we did so in such a way that we actually grew it. But meanwhile, back on Earth, it was clear that we were not going to be able to have any in-person events in Seattle at any time soon. And SVC had to make the very difficult decision to break its lease. And that, I'm sad to say, was the end of the SVC letterpress program. But we are an active community. This community that we had built through SVC immediately raised their hands and stepped forward to offer foster homes for our presses so that they could remain in use during lockdown. We had a group that helped pack up all of our equipment and move it into safe storage at a local commercial print shop, where it still remains to this day. We fully embraced at this point that we were digital nomads offering virtual analog programming, think about that, it's kind of impossible, through the wonders of the internet. We immediately put those presses that were in foster homes to use, and we continued on with our Words of Courage collaboration with Seattle Children's Hospital. And we celebrated late that summer our 10th anniversary of this collaboration through Zoom, as one does in these times. This partnership and celebrating it in this way with this giant milestone was a triumph and a boon. And so we pushed forward to use our presses yet again in service of the community. We worked with Seattle Design Festival to invite the public to share their messages of hope, resilience, community, and social justice. And we became their hands, printing these messages in just one day with the help of 7 artists in different locations, creating hundreds of posters that were then amplified through window displays in the empty spaces throughout Seattle, including here at the Ballard Public Library, which, as you may recall, Seattle Public Libraries was shut down for over a year, denying public access. Pretty incredible. We were grateful for this opportunity. And with that, these socially distant engagements gave us hope and courage to become a nonprofit, Partners in Print. Our beloved original partners at SBC donated all of its letterpress assets to us. And we launched our new home in the digital space through a website. This allowed us the opportunity to continue on with our online programs and focus on resources that provided access to even more people than we were able to reach before. We did this by surrounding ourselves with the support of those that had been there and who wanted to be a part of our journey because they believed in our mission. It's these people that have become our advisors, our instructors, our leadership team, and our staff from near and far. It is with their support that we have been able to create a model of accessible letterpress programming and a pathway to becoming financially sustainable. We offer our long-distance letterpress classes to this day, and we do it on a sliding scale, which allows for self-selecting scholarships, as well as a pay-it-forward model to help support those scholarships. We also depend on donors to help make these classes sustainable, along with other programs like Shop Talks, which is a free event that welcomes letterpress printers of all skill levels into a virtual space with a welcoming moderator who is compensated for their time to lead discussions on preset topics. We recognize as well that there was actually a gap in this programming. New letterpress printers were having a hard time making connections after they had left their institutions, be it educational or community shops. So we partnered with the letterpress educators of art and design to create Print Futures, giving printers an opportunity to share their new work with a live audience online. For a lot of these artists, for which over 20 have participated since we began this program 3 years ago, we're given the opportunity to speak for the first time and learn from their experiences. This also gave them the opportunity to get feedback from the audience through discussions in breakout rooms once their presentations were complete. And it's always been our hope that by setting up a program like Print Futures, other institutions would follow our lead and also create more opportunities for emerging artists. And in 2023, and again in 2024, this hope was realized in Wisconsin when, for the first time ever, our Print Futures alumni were able to meet in person at the Hamilton Wastegoose, which is a national conference for letterpress nerds and design nerds who love type to come together and share their experiences with one another. These participants were able to present to a live audience of 100 people or more in person. By choosing collaboration over competition, we were able to reach out and engage with other community partners who were working through letterpress. These connections were mutual lifelines at a time when organizations and institutions were having a hard time justifying to their administrations, to their boards, that letterpress was still extremely relevant, even more so during this time of lockdown. We worked together with them to make sure that art programs did not get cut from budgets. We did this through collaborations, showing the world that hope is action, through letterpress printed posters that were put into the hands of many through the work of many. They were distributed through online galleries, friends passing out the exchanges to one another and getting them into spaces as things opened up. We also engaged in collaboration for civic action movements making sure that printers were providing access to posters for communities that needed them in times such as the election to encourage nonpartisan voter engagement. With other collaborations, we promoted inclusivity and empathy at a time I think we can all agree that it has been extremely needed. These prints were able to circulate not only through galleries, traditional galleries, as they opened up around the country, but also in non-traditional ones, such as the storefront window in downtown Seattle. Through a partnership with Seattle Restored, Partners in Print was able to get this work in front of more people, still at a time when many things downtown were closed. We then passed the baton to Erin Shigaki, who is a community activist working here in Seattle. We were able to bring forward the Designer in Residence program, even though it was a bit pared down from what we knew in the past, to give Erin the space to share their story and their family's story about Japanese American incarceration during World War II in the concentration camps. Erin shared their story, asking the question, what kind of ancestors do we want to be? Giving us cause for much reflection. We also brought forward the Poetry for Everyone program that we started at SVC. And this was a cultural bridge building project in which we were able to get poems in multiple languages into the hands of many through collaborations with organizations that help pay for them to be available in independent bookstores around Washington State and beyond. And this program is still continued today. By 2022, we were more than ready to re-engage with the public, and Seattle was firmly opened up. We took our press power out into the public in a creative way, creating a mobile letterpress studio, packing it up into bins, taking it into indoor spaces and outdoor spaces. We had our wood type, our presses, and our lovely letterpress ambassadors working with the public to share their messages. The process is simple. We help them set type, ink it up, and they make 2 prints, one to keep and then one to share with the community. This is not just a keepsake event. It's a public art display where everyone is involved. We helped people figure out what they wanted to say with a prompt. And our go-to one has been, what do you want to say to your community? Turns out there's a lot that people want to say, a lot of it quite poignant. And of course, we love puppies, right? When we work with our partner groups, we help them figure out a message that speaks to their audience. We want it to be a meaningful experience. We also make sure that when we offer this program, that it is at a sliding scale, so that our partner organizations who reach underserved communities can also be involved. We have an event happening in this building today, as it turns out, great coincidence, which is FatCon. And for the 2nd year in a row, Press Power has been a guest helping to amplify their messages of body positivity. When we have the chance to work more intimately with groups, we're able to bust out more ink colors and really let those colors fly. A lot of this is made possible by the work of Steve Garst, who designed the Provisional Press, which is an affordable, easy-to-build printing press that works with both our type, but also with Legos, if you want to print with those. We realized that we could get the presses into the hands of more people, empowering more of them to become citizen printers, if we created a print kit and put those supplies directly into the hands of artists, educators, and other organizers. With a simple workshop, it's easy for us to train participants to take those presses into their communities and use them in the ways that only they know best. Through the years, the short 3, 4, almost 5 years now that we've been doing this, we've had the great pleasure of working with a lot of organizations and being supported by many of them as well to make it possible for us to share stories and open minds. So what's next? What lies around the corner for Partners in Print? We've been busy for 4 years, building our virtual and mobile programming, and our presses are once again on the move, which means something wonderful, that we have found a new home for us, a space in Belltown where we can be a part of the community, which is made possible through the hard work of our leadership team and staff who have made sure that we are in a good financial place to take this giant step. Along with that comes the help of grants and, of course, donor support from our community. We are still actively raising money for our Move In campaign so we can get those presses and our equipment into the hands of you, the community. We're looking forward to this gathering space and being a part of the monthly Belltown Art Walk, where we will welcome people in to play with our presses and create more messages of hope and community. We're looking forward to sharing our craft and our skills with more people through in-person classes once again. It's been a long 5 years. We've missed you. We also hope to host team building events for organizations. We used to call this letterpress at lunch. And we're also looking forward to bringing people in for artist residencies so that they can improve their letterpress skills, creating their own work. And of course, with this opportunity, we are able to create more meaningful connections through longer-term projects that simply just require more time to bring to fruition. In December of 2024, we gave a sneak peek to the community through our pre-construction open house. I hope some of you were able to attend. I see that there are some faces here that I recognize, and we thank you for being a part of that event. Through this event, we were able to invite people in and experience firsthand our unique way of storytelling through letterpress printing. And of course, it was a collaborative event. We worked with Professor Christine Matthews and her exhibition design class at the University of Washington. And these teams of students worked incredibly hard to create wonderful work that represents a myriad of ideas of ways that we can bring to life our space in the coming months. Christine and her team at Studio Matthews continues to work with us today to figure out how those things can become a reality. But for now, this is what our new space looks like. This is me and our Director of Communications and Programming, Jenny Wilkson. She's here in the audience today, so wave hello to her if you see her. Our space is in this ugly, awkward phase, but we are looking forward to getting it painted soon and welcoming people in. We hope to have everything up and running by April of 2025, so we can welcome you all back. As you continue on your journeys today, we hope that you take to heart some of the lessons that we've learned in the past 5 years. To make haste slowly and remember that good things take intention and time. Progress is never a straight line, so don't be surprised. Let community be your compass. Go where your talents are needed. It will be meaningful. Treat roadblocks like an opportunity. Use them to transform, reflect, and then repeat. Choose collaboration over competition. There's room for everyone. And as we've shown through our programs, we can get a lot further when we share our resources. Remember, we're all in this together. And we hope, as Partners in Print embarks on its next adventure, our next leg in this grand journey, that you come along with us. Thank you.
So let's start with Q&A, and I will just ask that for your question, I'm going to bring the mic to you so that we can all hear it. Okay. So, who's first?
Hey, I was just wondering, like, in this age where everything is so digital and instantaneous, I'm curious what you see as people's reaction to something that is so slow and so analog and so tactile. Like, have you seen anything that surprises you or that's counterintuitive? And how does that play into your process of, like, kind of meshing the virtual and analog?
That's a great question. I have to tell you that there's a bit of a high that you get when you print with somebody for the very first time. When they pull that print and lift that paper, pull it off of the press, they're in love, and they just walk off and leave the press behind. We have to kind of corral them back and remind them that you've got something you need to finish over here. We've also been amazed. People come in with brilliant ideas. We saw this at the School of Visual Concepts. diaries of what could be done, what could be printed. We see it at events. I had one with, it was with AIGA Link. I'm sure some of you are familiar with that program. Working with high school students, where one student was, she was having a hard time figuring out what she wanted to say. And in the end, she goes, you know, I just want to make my mark. I'm like, okay. So she took her hand and she stuck it in the ink and then just put it on a piece of paper. And in that moment, I was like, wow, it's never going to come off your hand. But it was how she wanted to express herself. Speaking directly to the digital age, we find that letterpress is, I don't want to say an antidote, but it's often a respite from the lack of connectivity that can happen from working on a screen. And there's a lot of things about letterpress that have actually been carried forward that perhaps some programmers might know, some terminology. But I can get into that later when you come and engage with us in our space. Thank you.
Next question.
First off, I have actually got to print twice in Gracie's Kickstart, so I'm really excited that you guys are opening a space here and you're going to continue that. I do have a question for you. What inspired you to really continue printing, making that your career? You know, that driving force with that.
Yeah, thank you. My personal experience has been, I started out as a book designer, and I really wanted to learn a lot more about typography. And a friend pointed me towards a letterpress printer who is, to this day, one of our volunteers with Partners in Print. It really taught me to look at letter forms, see how they relate to one another. I went to school at a time for design when programs were still a mix of activities related to a Bachelor of Fine Arts degree. So I had one foot in the studio, doing painting, sculpture, and the other was in the computer lab. And I recognized pretty quickly in my first job that something was missing when I wasn't using my hands in a very tactile way. Like the keyboard didn't do it for me, but I still love doing digital work. And so I really do bridge that gap between both. And sharing that through teaching just, it's pulled me out of a lot of very challenging times in a very positive way.
What kind of help do y'all need to get the space up and running?
Thank you for asking that. I'll be blunt. We're looking for community sponsorship, corporate sponsorship as well, that will help us expand our programming. We have a moving campaign happening right now that will help us pay to move these presses into their new space. We also set up a registry, which is kind of lovely, like almost like building a new home. Getting married. Where participants can choose from anything from a toilet plunger to a table that we might need. So go to our website, partnersinprint.org, and learn more there. You can also volunteer your time at our events. So reach out to us through our email address, hello@partnersinprint.org, and Jenny Wilson can help direct you to the right place. And spread the word.
We have time for one more question. Okay.
Hi. Most of the posters I saw in the presentation are set in type, but some of them I saw are designs and shapes and just really beautiful, but doesn't really fall into a necessary rigid grid. So I'm curious how that process of printing a poster might look like that's compared to printing just in type.
Yeah, absolutely. So when we had a physical space, we were able to teach traditional letterpress techniques, which are based on a grid system. The physicality of the presses simply requires that everything be at 90-degree angles, and we have to get really creative if you want to venture out from that. But when we simplified our process during the pandemic, as Partners in Print, we realized that we could just boil that down to the essence using magnets instead of the traditional metal framework that would hold the type and imagery together. And with magnets, we were able to offer a little bit more, not a little, a lot more flexibility. We were also able to speed up the process. And really what we try to do is boundaries that have been traditionally set up. Yeah, thank you.